On today's episode of Let's Build This, I want to talk about the one thing that I feel every aspiring entrepreneur or aspiring business owner should do before they even take on or think about taking on running an entire business. I'll tell you what that is on the other side.
Here's the deal. If you're anything like me, you're probably the person who's been criticized for working too much and for putting your dreams first and hustling every chance you get. Let me guess, you've probably lost friends, family, and maybe more because of this. You got a dream, a vision for something greater than yourself that's been burning in the pit of your stomach. It pushes you forward because if you don't do it, who will? Sound like you? Then listen up. Let's dive in, learn as we go, and get stronger with each and every mistake. It's time to roll up your sleeves and get to work. Let's build this.
And now a word from our sponsor, Anchor.fm. Here's the deal. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's one of the easiest ways to create a podcast. Let me start. In my first episode ever, I talked about fear. And fear comes from a lot of places, one of them being able to access technology. But Anchor FM is free. It's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They'll even distribute it for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a bunch more. And guess what? The coolest thing is they even connect you with sponsors if you want at no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So here's the deal. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, go to anchor.fm to get started or search in your app library for anchor.fm. All right, so you're probably going to hear me say this a lot if you're somebody who listens to me or follows me or has heard me talk in the past. I think the best experience that somebody who is considering going the entrepreneurial route in their life or the business owner route in their life, but maybe doesn't have an idea as to what they want the core of their business to be or the services or products that they're going to offer. It's this one thing. And it's something we've all probably done in some way, shape, or form, but haven't really considered it the same way that I'm going to outline it for you here. Put on an event where people have to pay to show up. What do I mean by that? Putting on a free event is one thing. Putting on an event where you have to acquire paying attendees in order to be able to measure its success is a whole different ball of wax. And this is why, all right? Event planning. Think about what it takes. You have one block of time, typically all in the same day for most events or people running events for the first time. And that event has a theme or a mission or some sort of topic that it covers. You have details that go into quote unquote programming or the product of it. You have logistics that you have to plan and people you probably have to manage, especially if they're volunteers or even worse or better, paid staff. And not only that, how about varying types of staff in terms of responsibilities? And that's just like big chunks of what that day of event is, right? That doesn't include, especially if it's like an athletic event where you're bringing in healthcare, insurance, venues, any food or other types of details that might fall into it, external acts that you're bringing in. That's just the day of the event. Now, the reason I say everybody who is considering being a business owner or entrepreneur should do this
is because not only do you have to do those day of events, but you got to build hype prior to it because you got to sell tickets or you got to sell something to get people to show up, right? Or maybe you're selling somebody to be a sponsor of it, so you have free tickets, but then you have to probably produce some sort of metrics to show them that it was a success or it didn't reach expectations. In other words, you have to do marketing and you have to run campaigns and you have to do messaging and you have to do write sales copy and you got to sell people and you got to get commitments of people being there and you probably got to spend some money to do that, right? So if you look at it from this standpoint, an event is a small block of time where you're providing a service, essentially entertainment most of the time. And entertainment can be a whole bunch of different stuff, right? Even if it's a trade conference, you're still providing entertainment in the form of information, networking, education, and probably ancillary events to round it out, okay? Still an event. Plus, you got to do marketing and sales up to that point. All right. Now, why am I bringing this up? I had to go to a wedding and a reception this weekend, and it all of a sudden clicked in my brain as I was sitting there. I was like, holy crap. Think of the time and the effort that was put into putting this event on. Like the details. The bride and the groom spent a year or more planning this thing out, putting it together, paying for all the details, doing marketing by sending out invites, and then also doing other marketing like putting together, maybe their gift list or something along those lines. Following up, building in, and trying to figure out logistics for the music, for the food, for their pastor, for all of the people who had to be involved. Plus, they had to coordinate it. Plus, they had to make sure that the day of, that the logistics all lined up and they were prepped for it. And for those of you who don't know, and I'm not married, but weddings typically fall in the range, on average these days, right around 30 grand. That means they're raising money for it, they're building out ROI for it, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff, right? Like this, and the details of this, right? You got centerpieces, and those centerpieces are meticulously designed most of the time, and the flowers are meticulously put together, and you've got a color palette, and you got dresses, and you got the men in suits, or not in suits, maybe just vests and a tie, but the groom has a bow tie, right? So the entertainment, I mean, look at it from this standpoint. If you had to do that, run that same performance every single day, and market to a different group of people and acquire a different set of guests every single event, guess what you're doing? You're running a business. And you're running a business that requires you to do those actions every single day. You got to put on the performance while still marketing for the next one, while still managing whether or not you're going to have turnover of maybe your people involved in it, whether still managing differences in the food that you're going to have. That's why I say, go out, put together an event. I don't care how big or small it is. But if you don't enjoy doing that after the first couple times, and you're going to learn, right? The cool thing about an event is if it flops once, you don't have to ever do it again, right? You're not stuck with inventory. You had one day. And if the weather blows it up, the weather blows it up. And hopefully you got the weather insurance to cover it if it was a paid event, right? But at the end of the day, all entrepreneurs and business owners do every single day is run an event. And that set of events is set up by systems, and they've got an offer that they've created that's interesting, and they're continuing to sell it and market it over and 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 over again. That's it. And I want you to think about this. The people who really enjoy running a business, yeah, they want the results. But you know what they really want? They love the process. They love the process so much that they're willing to do that every single day, right? And as they grow and they scale it, they're implementing systems, which is what a quote unquote CEO does, right? And the entrepreneur builds the cool stuff and wraps their message around the movement or the brand, right? And the marketer and sales then takes what that messaging is and spins it into a message that's actually going to sell in the marketplace. Next time you're at an event, I don't care how big or small it is, dissect all the pieces. And I guarantee you, the more details you identify, the more you're going to probably rate that event higher than the other event who is literally thrown together as like a last minute thing. Hey, we're going to meet at this free place. There isn't a lot of organization. Instructions on how to get there are not clear. Implementation isn't clear. What do I do when I get there? What are next steps? All of the quote unquote customer experience stuff. And you will begin to understand what I mean by this. Okay. And especially if you're new to wanting to start a business. Now, here's the fun part. In the time of COVID, you can't really do in-person events, but you can definitely do online events, and you can definitely make the same types of changes and impacts, right? There's tools out there. We do things. We've had clients that have had us put on things like virtual prom, right? Same type of deal. Those are the types of things that you got to look at and go, okay, now, am I willing to go through this every single day for a significant amount of time, either based on if you want to exit or if this is going to be your bread and butter or whatever. But you're going to be doing that. And you got to think about that. And I'm not doing this to scare people. I'm not doing this to push people out of running their own business. But I just want people to understand this stuff is not easy. Entrepreneurship, business ownership isn't sexy, right? The sexy stuff comes from the standpoint that we've got some big personalities and some great entrepreneurs out there who are able to scale their business very quickly. But the difference is that they had a whole bunch of funding and they're looking at it from purely the standpoint of I'm making money, I'm doing the same thing every day. They brought in some good people, those coordinators who are helping to coordinate all the systems, and then they're building their thing and growing the brand and scaling it up, right? All you're doing when you're running an event is that for one day. So give it a shot, right? Give it a shot. If you're interested in how I do that, that's actually where I got my roots. Okay, my roots are in actually putting on my favorite event ever, which was a kids triathlon, and we did it. It's now the longest running event in my hometown. There was one summer where we ran multiples across different communities. We put training programs with it. We planned it out. We found coaches and put them in place to lead those trainings and to actually make the experience very safe, not only for the kids, but for the parents, which were a bigger problem or bigger challenge for us than managing the kids. All of those details, though, fell into place. And going to this wedding this weekend made me understand again and remind me and actually gave me a little bit of inspiration because I was like, man, I miss putting on those events because they are fun and they stop and they end. And then you can wait and you can choose not to do them again or you can choose to do it again. But at the end of the day, all of those pieces lined up. And every single time we improved the details or made the event just incrementally better, it was a new event every year. And every time we had new participants, it was a new event every year, right? We had slightly different colors. We had slightly different branding. And it was fun, right? Events can be fun. Running a business, though, every single day, you're doing that same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? That's why you get giant production companies like Ironman, where they do this stuff over and over and over again. They make a lot of money, but that's all they're doing all day long, every day. All right. I'm done hammering on that, but I just wanted to share that little bit of inspiration that I had this weekend. And
again, if you want help on putting together an event, hit me up. We have a production company, more than willing to help, more than happy to have a conversation. As always, with most of my relationships in the world of business, beekeeping, cryptocurrency, whatever I'm doing that day, leadership, it always starts with like an hour conversation where we just shoot some ideas back and forth and like dissect it, because I think that that is extremely valuable for people to have somebody go, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And typically, when I leave those conversations with people, they end up saying, wow, I now actually have a tangible list of action items that I either need to go research, get solidified, get answers to, or find somebody who's going to help me with it. So it's one of those things that I like to do that. It's actually, I love learning about business and people's ideas and concepts. That's why I tell people, I go, hey, you've got a dream. Let's build this. That's what I want to help people do, because I think there are a lot of people out there who have phenomenal ideas and they don't necessarily have the skill set, the know-how, or the experience on how to get it from this hazy picture in their head to clear executable tasks so that it eventually can become reality, right? And when it becomes reality, it actually is awesome. And I think back to the time where uh, it was like year 3 of the kids triathlon, year 4, where I was just able to show up and relax, and like that day of that event, that was the first time I was able to sit back and just take it all in. And when that happens, I that is probably the best day in my life, and was able to just like enjoy it, and the emotion that came over me, because not only were we doing awesome things for the kids, right? And the parents loved it and everybody loved it, but like for me, I finally understood the gratification of building something that was impactful and made a difference in these kids' lives, because we had kids who rather than spending all summer inside playing video games, were outdoors and being active. And not only that, the cool thing was is like parents were now getting involved in the training and getting active with their kids. We had built this whole platform so parents and kids could spend time together, because the kids had a goal of like, I'm going to finish this thing for the first time ever. And Brad at the pool is believing in me, and mom and dad, I want to do this because it's fun, because I've got another group of kids that are surrounding me and we're going to do this even though we've never done this before. Like, you got to look at it, and if you don't feel that passion and fulfillment in consistently in what you're doing, you got to look at it. And that's why I'm saying, run an event, do it more than once, and do multiple different types of events to fall in love with what you're doing every single day. And if you can do that and feel that self gratification every once in a while, right, where you can just sit back and watch it happen and enjoy it, your life will be changed. You'll have found a calling where you know that you want to do more of this type of stuff every single day. And at that point, then it's time to really start thinking about being an entrepreneur or a business owner or a leader in some business capacity. There are a lot of nonprofits out there who have extremely passionate individuals who, again, like I said, they struggle with gaining traction, not because they're not good people or because their ideas are poor or they don't have good offers or they don't know how to build systems or any number of things. But in this day and age, there's a lot of people out there who have the skill set to build systems, or have the skill set to do marketing and sales, or have the skill set to create high value offers where there is a need. And putting those people together through conversations that I've had over the last 12 years, it gets me excited and it wakes me up every morning. And it all started with one event that I did multiple years in a row, and it's still running. And people were clamoring for it this year. And I didn't get to do it this year. And this wedding that I went to reminded me of how much I enjoy the details of building a one-day product and then letting it go and letting it sit, getting feedback on it, and doing it again next year. that makes an impact. So with that, again, reach out, ping me, Instagram, Twitter, the Facebook page, Bradley James. You'll probably see me in a Cubs hat and a sweatshirt in most of those profile pictures, but BJ James 23 is Instagram, Twitter, and most everything else. Hit me up there. Be more than happy to grab 45 minutes with you or half hour with you if you want to talk about an idea. I typically don't do this, but this weekend was making me feel inspired. And I want to meet some more inspired people who are looking to make a difference in the world. With that, look forward to you on the next episode, and keep doing good things in the world. Take care.